for Ana de Armas, I'll say this much. She certainly needed more than 3 weeks training to pull this role off. Hello, my fellow YouTubers and subscribers, and welcome to my latest movie review, where today I review a Netflix original film, Blonde, directed by Dominik and starring Ana de Armas as Marilyn Monroe, or Norma Jean, to give her her proper name. So, Blonde, this is a movie I've been really looking forward to, and as many of you know, I am a big fan of Ana de Armas. One thing, I think she's incredibly hot, and secondly, I think she's a fantastic actress. Most recently seen in the recent James Bond movie, No Time to Die. I have the poster up there for that film, and she plays a very small but pivotal part in that film, and she was highly praised there. So, this movie is essentially a biopic drama of Marilyn Monroe and the life that she leads, but it's also a horror movie, and I'll go into that shortly. But the plot, basically, it's about the life of Marilyn Monroe. Nothing else to say there. So, Blonde. Well, as I've already alluded to, I love Ana de Armas. I think she's a fantastic actress. She was also great in Knives Out, I think to mention. That's one of her best performances. But this movie is fucking amazing. Yep. I absolutely adored this film. This has got to be one of my favourite movies of this year so far. Thank the Lord. I was getting worried because I didn't think there was going to be enough movies for my list at the end of the year in which I could say these were fantastic. Blonde, it's getting a fairly mixed response, and I think that's to do with the way people are receiving the movie's portrayal of Marilyn. And this movie is being kind of criticised controversially for the fact that it is, well, they deem it a pornographic torture movie, which I can kind of see the angle, but I don't really agree with that. I think that's a little bit of a petty criticism. Let's face it, Marilyn Monroe did have quite a tragic life and quite a difficult life, and there was a fair amount of sex involved in her life. So I think, you know, if there's any of that in this film, it's only to portray it through historical accuracy. But in terms of how accurate it is, I don't know, because I'm not too familiar with the history of Marilyn Monroe. Perhaps the movie's attempts to portray it were gratuitous. Fair enough, I'll give you that. But at the same time, it didn't bother me so much because I was very invested in this story. Like I said, the movie kind of is a horror film. That might sound very strange for something that's a biopic, but the way they treated this film was like a psychedelic horror film through, you know, Marilyn's gaze. It's all chaotic and it's all, you know, intense, and there's so much trauma, and it's dark. It's incredibly bleak and dark, and it's horrific. Like, there's scenes of violence, of domestic violence, rape, abuse, alcohol addiction, drug use. It's got the lot, you know. I mean, that was kind of the huge incomes of her life, and it was very tragic, to say the least. And I have to give my absolute props to Ana de Armas. I mean, wow, you know, she is a fantastic actress. I knew she was fantastic before, but I think she's clearly outdone herself. Honestly, I think the only thing to fault her is the accent. I think at times her American accent is a little bit slippy, because she is originally from Cuba, as far as I know. So the American accent probably could have used a bit of tweaking, but other than that, the emotion was absolutely there, and I believed that she was the character, and I believed that she was transforming into Marilyn Monroe, and I liked the whole idea that the film was kind of drawing in on the fact that, you know, Norma Jean didn't want to be Marilyn Monroe, and there was that whole kind of conflict there of, like, how does she escape from her alter ego, and how does she become normal? How does she have a normal life? And every time she attempts to, you know, get out of that life, something happens. It's all very tragic. There's quite a few dramas with her getting pregnant a few times and having miscarriages and abortions, and it's all very dark stuff. So it's not a pleasant film. It's not an easy watch, to tell you the truth. And there are some shots in this movie which are quite weird and quite abstract and very artistic. Like, there's even shots of, like, unborn babies inside the womb. It's, yeah, in a movie about Marilyn Monroe, it is a bit weird, but once you adjust to the tone of the movie, it will kind of work. Well, it does for me anyway. I think it works. There's even a section of the film where she actually is in a three-way relationship. Well, a threesome, I guess, is the right word to use, with two other guys. And that's kind of interesting, to say the least. Then she gets involved with a husband who is abusive to her, who beats her up, and is horrible to her. And then she meets Adrien, Brody's character, who turns out to be the nice guy of the lot. He's actually the nicest one, and he genuinely loves her. And when she's going back off the rails, he is trying to be attentive to her, saying, look, you seem a little bit distant from me, is there any way I can help you? He's genuinely trying to be nice, but she just brushes him off. Unfortunately, it's due to the fact that she had a miscarriage, and she can't get over the emotional trauma. There's quite a lot going on in this film in terms of her personal drama, and there's a particular storyline which follows right to the end, which is to do with her father. She keeps receiving these letters, which are seemingly from her father, although we don't really know if that's true until the end. And again, the revelation as to whether that is true comes at the very end of the movie, and that is heartbreaking. I have to admit, the very end of this movie had me in tears. It was powerful stuff. Again, Anna's performance just made me believe it. I believed every moment what was on screen. And the fact is, this movie is long. This is a nearly 3-hour film. It's like 2 hours 45 minutes. It's very long, but it flows. It doesn't drag at all. I was wrapped up in the emotion of the story from all the way through. And there was so much going on. I did not get bored at all. Also, the scenes with her and her mother are very intense. The film opens with this scene with, there's like a fire and her mother is trying to help her escape. And her mother turns out to be quite abusive as well, but her mother's suffering mental illness because the mother was dumped by the father who left because he didn't love them, which was real sad. I mean, this movie has a real sad, bleak tone to it, which is ironic because it's about Marilyn Monroe. Or then maybe it isn't ironic in that sense, depending on how you perceive it. And all the sort of scenes, the vignettes where they recreate all of the stuff with Marilyn Monroe, like in her films and in the posters, that's all kind of done well, and all the period setting costume design is incredible. It looks very authentic. You feel the authenticity of the era very well, and Anna looks like Marilyn. They've made her look very close to Marilyn Monroe. Not identical, of course, because, how could you? But they did a very good job at casting her, and I think in the end she was the right choice, despite the accent. This movie also makes a choice to have half the film in black and white and half the film in colour. It's a very odd choice, but it kind of works because the film, again, is quite chaotic, and it shows the balance in her life. The fact that, some of the scenes in colour are the more happier scenes, and most of the scenes in black and white are more tragic. There are some scenes which are kind of neutrally placed, and you're not really sure why they're some are in black and white and some are in colour, but it's kind of nice, but I don't think the effect makes as much sense as it could. So I think they could have I suppose it would have been too blatantly obvious to have all the bad scenes in black and white, all the good scenes in colour, but whichever way you perceive it, it kind of hammer homes the tone of the movie and again how psychedelic this movie is and how chaotic it is. Also, like some of the camera work, it goes all shaky and sometimes blurred and out of focus and all over the place. And again, you can tell that the director was very keen to create this horrific, torturous atmosphere, and it really pays off. And again, the emotion of the film is fantastic, and all the actors do a great job. Ana de Armas, as I've said, is fantastic, but just to shout the others out very quickly, Lily Fisher plays the young Norma Jean. She's very good. Julianne Nicholson, Colleen Foy, Tigar Runyon, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Adrien Brody, of course, Evan Williams, Dan Butler, Xavier Samuel, Rob Brownstein, and there's many more, but those are some of the central ones, and they're all fantastic. Like I said, only flaws really with the film are the black and white effect. The black and white versus colour thing is not entirely, it doesn't entirely make sense, but it's still kind of cool. And Ana de Armas' accent is a bit here and there. But I absolutely adore this film, and I think it's a beautiful film. It's a masterpiece. It really is, and I am stunned by how powerful this film is. It's a very harrowing watch, so it's not for the faint-hearted. But if you can stomach all of the dark themes and the strong sexual content and the violence, then You can probably watch this film, but it isn't an easy watch. But it is going to make your heart skip a beat, and you will probably have tears in your eyes, but that's to the movie's credit. So I'm going to give Blonde an easy 10 out of 10. It gives me so much joy to say that, because it has been a while since I've given a new movie a 10 out of 10. Not since the start of the year, actually. So this movie's been lacking in 10 out of 10s. But anyway, thank you very much all for watching this review, and please comment down below, let me know what you think of this movie, and please hit the like and subscribe button for more content in the future. So until next time, I'm Mr. Tiles11, thank you for watching. See ya. Bye for now.